on the banks of the river Hooghly, a distributary of the mighty Ganges, also known as the Ganga. And this is Chandannagar. Being a former French colony, the town is well known for its elite reputation. Be it the French-designed Strand, the lights and color of Jagadhatri Pujo, the amazing architectural details in the buildings, or for its Jol Bhora Sandesh. Chandannagar can feast all our five senses and has earned a reputation for its rich heritage.
In 2005, the UK historian of cultural heritage Philip Davies said this: "The Hooghly River belongs not only to India, but to the whole world." Why? Well, quite simply, along a 35-kilometer stretch of river, from Bandel in the north to Kolkata in the south, you have no less than 5 former European trading posts and also military cantonments. So there's Bandel, the former Portuguese one, Chinsura, the former Dutch one, Chandannagar, the French one, Srirampur, the Danish one, and Barakpur, the former British military cantonment. This area is no less than a cultural heritage sleeping giant.
Blue-green spaces plays a key role in the placemaking of every heritage town. The rivers, the canals, plants and trees all tell us the story of a place. To appreciate this in the context of Chandannagar, we need to start from the very beginning. Originally made of 3 villages, Gondolpara, Boro Kishanpur, and Khalishani, Chandannagar is bounded by the river Saraswati and the river Hooghly. When the river Saraswati was at its prime, the Khalishani area flourished, but now it's a different story.
সরস্বতী নদীর জল কমতে থাকে। এর দুটো কারণ। 1505 সালে একটা বড় ভূমিকম্প হয়, আর একটা ভূমিকম্পের খবর পাওয়া যাচ্ছে 1669। সেই ভূমিকম্পটার জন্য যে স্মরণ হয়, মাটির নিচে যে স্মরণ হয়, সেই স্মরণটা খুব ডিভাস্টেটিং স্মরণ, সেটা উপর থেকে বোঝা যায় না। এটা বেশিরভাগ বলা হয় হিমালয়ান থ্রাস্ট।
Chandannagar has witnessed constant changes in land use since the French and the British times. One such land use change is the building of the ditch, locally known as the Gaur. Built in the 1730s around Chandannagar, the Gaur was seen as a strategy to develop protection from the constant threat of the British.
গড়টা একসময় ছিল 30 থেকে 40 ফুট চওড়া। একটা 30 থেকে 40 ফুট চওড়া, তার নিদর্শন আপনারা এখনও কোথাও কোথাও গেলে পাবেন। সেখানে নৌকো যাতায়াত করতো 1950-60 সালের দশকের লোকেরা সেটা দেখেছে। তো এরকমভাবে একটা 250 বছর বয়সে একটা গড়ের ঢাল এমনভাবে করা হয়েছিল যাতে দুপাশ থেকে জল নেমে দক্ষিণে ভদ্রেশ্বরের সীমানায় আর উত্তরে চুঁচুড়ের সীমানার মধ্যে পড়ে।
On October 1955, Chandannagar was integrated into the state of West Bengal. This was also the time which witnessed the abolition of the zamindari system and the West Bengal Estate Acquisition Act of 1953 was initiated. The latter introduced a ceiling for land holding by the Indians, and as a result, any excess land was being taken over by the government. However, exceptions were made for ponds and gardens.
বাগান ও পুকুর ছেড়ে বাড়তি জমি নিয়ে নেবে। এবার একটা প্রবণতা দেখা গেল, যার বাড়ির জমির সঙ্গে আরও বেশি জমি ছিল, সে ওই জমিটাকে পুকুর করে দিল কোনো রকমভাবে। তাহলে পুকুর করে দিলে সেটা সরকারকে দিতে হবে না। এইটা বলার কারণ হচ্ছে যে স্বাভাবিক যে ভূবৈচিত্র্যটা ছিল, সেই স্বাভাবিক ভূবৈচিত্র্যটা এই আইনগুলোর মধ্যে পাল্টে গেল।
This trend of enhancement of the blue-green assets diminished with the rising pressures of urbanization and socio-political changes. Our blue-green planet is undergoing intense transformations induced by the humans. Rising population due to rapid urbanization is also seeing our green spaces and water bodies being used up to be replaced by man-made structures. The Hooghly Belt and Chandannagar are also feeling the pressure.
ফ্রেঞ্চ আমলের ডকুমেন্টস থেকে দেখতে পাওয়া যায় 5000 প্লাস ছোট ছোট পুকুর এখানে ছিল। এখন কিন্তু সংখ্যায় কমে প্রায় 200 থেকে 250-র কাছাকাছি চলে এসেছে। তাহলে বাকি পুকুরগুলো কি হয়েছে, সমস্ত ভরাট করে সেই সমস্ত জায়গাতে কিন্তু তৈরি হয়েছে বড় বড় ফ্ল্যাট বাড়ি, বা সেই জমিগুলো অন্য কাজে লাগানো হয়েছে। তো এইভাবে চন্দননগরের পরিবেশের যে ফিজিক্যাল পরিবেশটা ছিল, অনেক বেশি গ্রিন, অনেক বেশি জল, সেইটা কিন্তু নষ্ট হয়ে গেছে।
Unlawful activities regarding illegal filling of pond is being noticed, and they are strictly dealt with by the authority of the Chandannagar Municipal Corporation.
One of the most painful impacts is the decline in the health of the river Ganges, which is one of the top 10 most endangered rivers in the world.
এখন যে আপনারা দেখছেন গঙ্গায় বিশাল চড়া পড়েছে, আমরা যখন 95, 96, 97 ঘুরে বেরিয়েছি, গঙ্গায় এত চড়া পড়তো না। ইট ভাটা, সমানে মাটি কেটে কেটে, গঙ্গার মাটি কেটে কেটে ইট ভাটা গড়ে উঠছে। নিশ্চয়ই মানুষের খাবারের জন্য সেটা দরকার। গঙ্গার নাব্যতা নষ্ট হচ্ছে, বড় চড়া পিকনিক হেঁটে গঙ্গা পার, গঙ্গাকে ড্রেনেজ করা হচ্ছে, বালি পলি তোলা হচ্ছে, আখেরে লাভ কিছু হচ্ছে না।
আমাদের ছোটোবেলায় আমি দেখেছি পাশে সমস্ত বাগান থাকতো, বাগান ছিল, এবং কোনো মানে বাড়িঘরদোর সেরকম ছিলই না। এখন বাড়িঘরদোর ঘাড়ে ঘাড়ে হয়ে গেছে। এই গঙ্গার জল আমাদের উঠোন অবধি আসতো, এবং সেইখানে খাল ছিল, বিল ছিল, সেইগুলোতে গঙ্গার জল জমা হতো, সেইগুলো সমস্ত ভরাট হয়ে গেছে।
82 সালে আমি এখানে এসেছি, তখন চন্দননগর কলেজের ছেলেমেয়েরা স্ট্র্যান্ড থেকে বসে গঙ্গার ধারে বসে থাকতো, তাদের পায়ের কাছে ছিল গঙ্গার জল। আজকে সেই জলের লেভেলটা নিচে নেমে গেছে, প্রায় 20 থেকে 22 ফুট নিচে নেমে গেছে, এবং কখনোই ওই পোর্শনে আর জল হয় না।
Increasing population has also meant increase in waste. The river and the other water bodies such as the ponds and the gore are facing huge pollution load.
At present, we see two major issues related to pollution. One of them is solid waste management problem, and another is illegal filling of water bodies. Biomining and other aspects are being taken to convert the waste into wealth.
সব থেকে বড় কথা, এখানে একটা নতুন ব্রিজ হয়েছে। ব্রিজটা হয়েছে আপনার জাস্ট স্টেশনের ওখান থেকে দিল্লি রোডকে কানেক্ট করছে। তার পাশে একটা খোলা জায়গা জুড়ে ডাম্পিয়ার্ড বলি, বা আমরা যাকে ভ্যাট বলি বা ভাগাড় বলি, সেই ভাগাড়টি সম্পূর্ণভাবে খোলা। দুনিয়ার আবর্জনা ওখানে গিয়ে মিউনিসিপ্যালিটি ডাম্প করার ফলে কি হচ্ছে, তার থেকে গন্ধ, এয়ার পলিউশন, এন্টায়ার পলিউশনটা ঘুরছে। অথচ একটু প্ল্যান করলেই, অত বড় জায়গাকে কভার আপ করলে সেটাকে বায়োডিগ্রেডেবল ওয়েস্ট ম্যানেজমেন্ট করলে চন্দননগর একদম ঝকঝকে শহর হতে পারতো।
People are not that conscious as they should be. There are garbage collectors, sweepers appointed by the authority, but one needs to be more conscious about maintaining the health of one's own town.
Many of these challenges, which our towns and cities are currently facing, can be resolved with the help of green and blue infrastructures. There is evidence to suggest that blue-green infrastructure can help with tackling the effects of climate change while enhancing human health and biodiversity.
So why are we talking about green and blue infrastructures rather than just blue areas or green areas? The important thing here is functionality. So as a strategic planner, I take various aspects into account when I plan green and blue infrastructures. So I consider human health, so I consider the effect on temperature, for example, but what I also do is I look at where different species live, and maybe they need corridors so that they can migrate between different areas. It's these kinds of things that you need to take into account, so you need to think strategically when you plan blue and green infrastructures.
The concept of blue-green infrastructure is not new, but the term is relatively new and is getting a lot of attention in the academic literature, especially in the UK and the US.
This doesn't make the concept a Western one. In fact, one can trace the use of blue-green assets as infrastructure even in earlier settlements as old as the Vedic villages. The idea was that villages would be planned amongst trees. And in doing so, even if some trees were removed or had to be cleared, they would be planted again strategically to enhance their functionality. The village itself would be surrounded by a kind of forest known as Shrivan. And Shrivan could be used for economic or recreational purposes. For example, one could have medicinal plants, orchards, sports-related recreational activities, and so on. So all these different things added economic value to the villages. Beyond the Shrivan, the Vedic village would have another layer of forest, which was known as Tapovan. Tapovan was specifically capable of delivering mental and spiritual well-being. And then beyond Tapovan, the Vedic village would have Mahavan. Mahavan is a kind of forest that can be almost equated to the modern day reserved forests. These forests were specially meant for the wildlife and humans were expected to least disrupt the sanctity of Mahavans. So we can see that even in this very early settlements, blue-green assets or blue-green infrastructure actually here was used with strategic planning to deliver economic, social and environmental sustainability.
The separation and naming of blue and green infrastructure is an academic sleight of hand, and they have always been connected.
In the near past, if one considers European colonial history in the region, we can see that the blue infrastructure was actually a way of accessing the green infrastructure through seagoing ships, which would come up the Hooghly River to the ports of Hooghly and then extract products that have been made benefiting from the green infrastructure and the human capital in that particular area, for example, cotton. Now, if one considers the present, we can look at and see that there are also connections between blue infrastructure and green infrastructure. Within the brochures of promoters promoting real estate, we can see that they make and refer to the river vistas and then look out over the river. They can see far into the distance, and it's a view that belies the very high population densities in that particular area. We have an amazing resource there, the Strand Promenade. There, very close, you have to the river, you have a linear park, which really benefits quality of life of that particular area. Now, if we look at the future, we see things in a very different light because we see there that the blue infrastructure has the potential, with sea level rise and with climate change, to threaten the green infrastructure and to threaten the quality of life.
The future is precarious for the Hooghly region. It is therefore important to understand the connection between the blue and green and how heritage fits within it. Together, they can bring about economic attractiveness. There is potential to grow sustainable form of cultural heritage tourism, and one such recent initiative in Chandannagar is Jaloshri.
Kolkata has a floatel, Chandannagar has a Jaloshri. This initiative was taken by the West Bengal government, and this is a fine dining, open air restaurant and cafeteria which is situated right on the Ganges in Chandannagar.
গ্রিনারিকে খুব এনকারেজ করা হয়, সেটা হেরিটেজ ট্যুরিজমকে ডেফিনেটলি অ্যাট দ্য সেম টাইম অ্যাসোসিয়েটেড ট্যুরিজম, যে উইকেন্ড ট্যুরিজম বা দেখা গেল ফার্মিং ট্যুরিজম, এইগুলো কানেক্টেড, প্রত্যেকটা কানেক্টেড। তো সেগুলো প্রত্যেকটাই রেভিনিউ জেনারেট করতে এবং এই জায়গাটার পপুলারিটি আনতে, আবার ফিরিয়ে আনতে সাহায্য করবে।
Protecting our heritage and delivering sustainability in the region needs to go hand in hand and has to be planned holistically.
Gore is a heritage asset which was built by the French. It is meant to be a blue corridor, but at the moment, if you see it, it is almost dumped with waste. If we revived Gore, it would be reviving this cultural heritage asset. We can help recreate the blue corridor, and alongside, if we planted trees, it would serve as a blue-green corridor. This could be used for walking, cycling, and can even help with natural flood management. In fact, if we enhanced biodiversity alongside this blue-green corridor, all of this together would considerably reduce the temperature of that area, making it cooler. This would certainly attract tourism, but at the same time, this can help us cope with the impacts of climate change. So this is an example of a win-win situation.
Our heritage that is cherished in Hooghly today is born out of our association with the blues and greens. The river flows on, greening the land, nurturing our lives, and embracing us back in the end as we come and go. It is not in the nature of the river to stop. It continues telling our stories. Now the time has come to relearn how fundamental the river is to our life and heritage. গঙ্গা কেবল একটি নদী নয়, ভারতবর্ষের সনাতন ধর্মের মেরুদণ্ডী, ভারতীয় ইতিহাসে চলমান সাক্ষী প্রবাহ, আমাদের কলা, শিল্প এবং সমাজ জীবনে নিত্যকালের সঙ্গী।